Armizare is Italian for art of arms, and it's what historically it would be called. The lynx comes into play from the manual we study. They talk about the attributes of a good sword fighter, and those are represented by animals. And the lynx is one of them, representing prudence and foresight. My name is Simon Rainier. I've been doing sword fighting since roughly 2004. There was a school in Vancouver, still is, called Academy Duello, and I think I was the 4th student to join. Moved to Kamloops 5 years ago now, and when I moved up here, I had been teaching in Vancouver, but there was nothing really like this up here. There's no sword fighting schools, so since I had the experience and the need to do this kind of thing, I started Lynx Armizare. I always try to think about the legacy of the sword. We don't spend a lot of time talking about knightly virtues, but we do try to use some of that sort of subtextually in our training, always thinking of respecting the person we're fighting and trying to be the best person we can be. To drop your hands to your side, make little hip pistols and say pew pew pew, pew pew pew. These are hip pistols. The direction our hip pistols are pointed is the way we're going to be strongest. And I make absolutely everyone who ever trains with me make the noise and do the hip pistols, because it has been shown that the more ridiculous something is, the sillier something is, the more likely you are to remember it.
My name's Jed. I've been sword fighting for about 4 or 5 years now. I grew up being incredibly geeky. I've always been into Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. And I like being able to have that connection to both other worlds, as well as I'm a history buff. I used to major history at university. So I've always had a great deal of interest in that. I often find that it's very settling, as well as it's incredibly invigorating. I was fighting in a tournament down in Seattle, and there was one guy who was an extremely aggressive fighter. So I got to fight with him, and I'm a far more technical fighter. So he goes and he primes in, he walks in, I just point my sword at him and he just goes, whoa, I don't know how to deal with that. There's no better feeling than picking up a sword and you're like, okay, yeah, I know how to do this. I can be Aragorn, I can be King Arthur.
My name is Evan Lindinger. I've been doing this just over a year. I saw Simon and Jed beating each other in the park with swords and thought I'd check it out. The fact that they just don't give a crap who you are, as long as you don't impinge on others' enjoyment of the time. I went down to another school that fights a different school of sword fighting, and yeah, they didn't know how to deal with the point of the sword. I think it felt more cool to fight some people that I didn't recognize the way they were fighting. You know, it's even better, having something I'm really interested in.
My name is Elliot Andrew, and I go to school at TRU. This is my second time trying it. I heard about the sword fighting actually by Jed because we go to the same choir. I thought swords would be pretty fun. I think sword fighting pretty much was what I was expecting, except there is a little bit there's a lot more to learn about it.
My name is Ron Jensen. I'm 14 years old. I go to school at KSA, Kamloops School of the Arts. Ever since I was little, I have always been really interested in less feminine things. I've always wanted a sword. I actually got a play steel sword before I started sword fighting. And when I heard that there was an opportunity for me to sword fight and learn about sword fighting and martial arts, I want to do this, and I fell in love with it the first time, didn't want to leave. Recently had a little bit of a small tournament, and there was food, and we all just got together and we had fun, and I was fighting with another student who was older than me with knives, and it was a tie, and if he got the next point, he would have won. I just went full on and I beat him, and it was I had an adrenaline rush, and it was just amazing. It felt so good. It made me feel very powerful and strong. It's something that I think everybody should at least try, and it's not for everybody, but if you enjoy it, then you just pursue it.